to everyone, all the participants, all the scientists, eminent professors from different groups or different SAUs and CAUs. It is my privilege to talk or can say to discuss or something about how the agronomical practices can contribute towards the climate change mitigation. So this topic which we will cover here is agronomical practices for the crop production in the era of climate change. So basically we will talk about how this climate change is going on, how this is going to affect, and we will try to stick to the this agronomical management aspect only, because if we sit to talk about this climate change, it is a huge topic and a whole day we can talk about this. So we will just try to stick upon the agronomical management practices and how these practices are going to contribute and what kind of management we will look for. So whenever we talk about climate change, it is most of time it is said to be man-made, a disaster, or you can say the disaster being caused by us only. So it is a kind of thing which we can say in a layman language, we can say, I mean, impact, or you can say we can assess what is climate change. So it is just a global warming, or you can say erratic pattern of rainfall. You can say the unprecedented events of rainfall. There are so many type of events. I mean, so in our country only, there are so many parts when a season like Kharif season only is going to face both the things, drought as well as flood as well. That is actually flash flood. So both the things are happening simultaneously on the same piece of land. So this is a sign of climate change. I will also present one case history from our area only, Jhansi only. Okay, so this climate change, this change in the global warming potential, global warming, or you can say extreme events and rainfall intensity pattern is causing a lot more loss to the soil organic matter, to the soil losses. It is also increasing the soil wetness, or you can say nutrient leaching, and then also going to hamper, or you can say, development of plants and their growth and development. Then so many things, so many reports are there, like certain type of crop pest and disease are going to occur more and more with a more intensive way, right? So nutrient dynamics is going to be altered, then whole crop, ultimately all these things are associated with our output, so all are collectively affecting our potential outcome or ultimate outcome, that is the productivity. So it is not only restricted to the agriculture field, it is also affecting our socioeconomic aspects as well. I mean, like if you will imagine, like food security is a threat. Migration is also going to happen just because of erratic rainfall pattern, unprecedented events, and then people are losing their crops, they are risking their food productivity. Everything is on the verge of their loss. So this is also going to cause the poverty or loss of traditional practices. People are also facing some health impact. We are very much aware about the health issues which nowadays are being caused because of this changing climatic scenario. And then communal violences, or so many things are also associated with this particular thing, like gender inequality as well. So this, if we talk about the effect or ultimate impact on the this agriculture, so mainly it is going to cause the loss of biodiversity. Our atmosphere is becoming more and more fragile, more and more prone towards the degradation, and then increasing frequencies is going to cause sudden floods or flash floods, chronic droughts or acute agronomical droughts as well, then storms. So many things are going to happen. Then if we sum up, the certain reports are saying that we are facing nearly 10 to 20% of yield losses, outcome losses every year, just because of temperature, high temperature, or just because of terminal heat stress. Then these floods, and at the same time of season we are facing drought. So this is going to cause the shift in the crops as well. Like in many parts, some crops like moong bean is being eradicated just because of the rainfall pattern, because at the time of harvesting there, farmers are facing rainfall, which is causing to loss of their crops. So, and similarly the crops like maize, they are going to face, just because of flash flood, they are going to face this waterlogging problem. At the same time, if you talk about the sesame, the crop is also facing, if water for 24 hours is going to stagnate, in day or two, the whole crop is going to vanish, right? So these things are happening, and then what kind of things we need to address, how we will work upon this, right? So this is actually a climate smart approach. When we talk about agronomy, it not only only think of agronomical management. It is a holistic scenario. If we will not think in a holistic view, then only one science or one branch can't deal with this type of thing is which is going to happen. So if we really want to think about this climate change and climate change mitigation, then we will have to adopt certain climate smart approach. So here we will have to, firstly we will have to look for the adoption strategies, then mitigation potentials, and then ultimately our food security should be in the mind. So any kind of management practices, if you will see this particular picture, if any kind of management practices which we are going to adopt is ultimately going to focus on two things: above ground and below ground. Above ground is your plant and your atmosphere, and below ground is soil. So if any kind of management practices which we are going to adopt is going to mitigate greenhouse gas emission, GHGs emission, carbon sequestration, things of saying water harvesting, then soil nutrient cycling, carbon cycling, then ultimately all these things are going to collectively contribute towards the greenhouse gas mitigation, or you can say climate change mitigation. If we say that we are going to adopt certain strategies where the runoff flow is going to check, then surely it will reduce the mitigate this erosion of your soil. Then at the same time, if the things like mulching we are going to adopt, vertical mulching or live mulching or any kind of surface mulching, this is going to further reduce your water flow. So these things are going to deal with the above ground and below ground systems. So again, this is a holistic view, what kind of things we should think about, like planting methods, planting times are changing, just because of climate change. We are altering our planting time, right? Like if you will take the example of mustard, so if you delay this mustard sowing beyond 15 to 20 days, you will face this terminal heat stress of thing. Then again, this aphid attack is going to happen over there, right? So this approach of conservation agriculture or mechanization is also there. Then site specific management system, need based fertilizer application, then crop diversification, varietal diversification, intercropping, then INM, IW, integrated weed management and pest management approaches. Alongside this, we are also talking about the agroforestry systems, cover cropping, green cover, or increasing the soil biomass, cover so to protect our soil from the direct exposure, and then ultimately this soil fertility enhancement. So if we talk about the very first thing which we adopt at the time of crop production, this selection of crop is very important. So if we consider a very in a generalized way, if we will consider this, what is the trend, or can say what is the inclination of farmers toward the selection of crops. So in the kharif season, mostly farmers are going to think about rice, maize, soybean, sorghum, sesame, or sometimes peasant pea and millets. Millet is going to be accelerated by the government. Then that is why nowadays people are thinking about the millets. Otherwise, these are the only crops in, I think, whole countries cultivating this particular type of crops. So similarly, in the kharif season, wheat, chickpea, mustard are the dominating ones. But this diversification is not that easy, because if you as a scientist, if we are going to convince any farmer, then we will have to also think about the certain obstacles, or can say the certain things like market availability. If we are going to push our farmers toward the millet cultivation, then what will be the market availability, how they will go for the selling, what kind of MSP they will get, what kind of market availability will be there. Then suitability of land is very essential. What kind of crop a particular farmer is going to select, he or she must be considering their land potential, fertility level, their type of soil, the classes of particular soil. Then expertise in certain things, what kind of accessories, or you can see, if per se, if you talk about the millet cultivation, then millets are having a very challenging things in terms of harvesting and processing. So the what kind of expertise, or you can say equipmentation or mechanization is there, that is also a challenge. Then similarly, duration also sometimes big cause an obstacle in case of crop diversification like peas and pea. But our scientists are working towards the development of short duration varieties, and then development of short stature varieties, so that other crops can be integrated. Then climate smart varietal development is going on. So these things are also to be considered at the time of selection of crop or diversification of the crops. Then this is adopted from INRA. And then if we are going to diversify this cropping system, then it is assumed, it is expected to get 14% of higher productivity. At the same time, disease occurrence is going to be checked, because of we are going to break their cycle. Then again, if we are going to integrate the low water requiring crop along with the high water requiring crop, then obviously our soil, our water consumption, or you can say water saving is going to be there. Then ultimately our productivity is going to increase. Similarly, these pulses are also known for the biotillage. So this integration of pulses is going to increase the soil quality, soil fertility, not only by the root activities, but also because of their litter biomass. So much of biomass is there that is going to be that is going to integrate and include the carbon in the soil system. And then again, this conservation tillage thing is very much talked when we talk about climate smart, or you can say the conservation management systems. So here we are having two approaches, like no tillage, or with crop residue, or we can say that minimum tillage or reduced tillage things of this. So both are, all these things are having the tendency, or you can say having their objective to maintain the soil cover and recycle the biomass, so that nutrient and carbon cycling can be there. If we are going to maintain the soil organic matter or soil carbon on the surface or in the soil system, again it is going to push your soil biological diversity, or you can say microbial diversity. Then again, we are also going to deal with the weed and then diseases as well. Yes, sometimes it is a question that how this weed management, and how best we can mitigate this pest incidents if some particular crops, or consider residue of the crop is infected. So that is the thing which we should think about before this incorporation. And then if biomass is there, then certainly it is going to increase the soil structure, soil porosity. Then it is going to harvest the in situ, it is going to facilitate the in situ water harvesting, and then thereby reducing the soil erosion, and ultimately this yield is going to be increased. Then another intervention as the part of this particular conservation thing, this residue, or reduced tillage, or residue management thing. So here we, as we discussed, that it is mainly going to deal with the soil structure, like we're going to increase the water holding capacity, then going to reduce the water losses, and then in terms of greenhouse gas mitigation, it is also going to uh, in case of residue recycling, earlier, because of crop is, crop residue is more prone to the degradation. There are reports that it is going to liberate certain I mean higher amount of CO2. But if you will compare this particular CO2 liberation in a long run, then methane emission is going to reduce, and then nitrous oxide emissions are going to be reduced. The reports are there. Then water quality is going to increase. Then similarly, ultimately, your soil health and your machine, if we are using the machineries for the multiple tillage practices, then similarly your energy consumption is going to be there. So ultimately, if these are the broader findings, like it is just this reduced tillage can reduce the erosion by up to 60%. Then similarly, it can increase the organic matter content by soil organic carbon content by 15 to 30% in a long run, and then improve the water infiltration rate, then reduction in CO2 emission by 10 to 20%. Then this is again, it is not a 1 year 2 year finding. It is going to happen in a long run. As I told you, that if crop biomass will be there, certainly there will be the mineralization or decomposition process. At the time of decomposition, CO2 emissions will be there. Then ultimately your crop yield will increase. Then crop residue mulching, this is also very essential. So depending upon this type of crops, or you can say we can alter the cropping pattern. This is actually crop residue along with this planting methods. So to check the water flow, or you can say flow rate, we can alter the planting geometry or planting density or planting type of planting methods as well, to check the water flow, as well as to reduce this flow of the water, which will further help in reducing the water erosion, as well as adding to the in situ water conservations. Then this is actually a case study of our own field. This, if you will see in the very left hand side of a screen, then it is actually Bundelkhand region. So here this region is going to face this is actually 2.96 million hectare arable land, and then this 60% of area is under rainfed condition. And the major problem of this particular region is erratic rainfall pattern alongside poor soil health, right? So if you will see this graph, then in the bottom, then you can see this rainfall is going to increase, but the number of rainy days are going to reduce year by year, right? So what this is telling that despite the incrementing rainfall, or a stagnant rainfall, this events of rainfall are less, right? So this is going to cause flash flood. At the same time, prolonged dry spells are going to be there. So for this type of thing, need based modification can be there. Like if you will see this, we can go for the broad bit furrow, or we can go for the region furrow planting. Then we can go for the crop diversification. Like in this region, groundnut wheat is a dominant cropping system. It can be diversified with the maize, mustard, followed by sesbania. So this is a holistic management, or you can say approach, where we can talk about the water harvest, in situ water harvesting, nutrient cycling, carbon nutrient cycling, increasing the water productivity, then soil health improvement, also reducing the water footprint. And this footprint is actually holistic approach. When we talk about the water footprint calculation, in this case we consider the fertilizer load as well. We also consider the this contribution of effective rainfall. So overall, ultimately, we are going to reduce this total water footprint, not only by increasing the productivity, but also by reducing this fertilizer load because of residue recycling, because of crop diversification, and as well as carbon footprint. So this is also one of the need-based modification, where we can say that broadbed kind of raised bed and broadbed systems can be there for the planting of body space crop, along with water harvesting thing. So it can prevent the soil compaction, then improve the water drainage system, reduce the erosion from the soil of the soil, then promote nutrient distribution or nutrient cycling, enhance water retention, and then thereby improving the water nutrient availability for the crops. And ultimately, this is also going to increase this organic matter, and also soil crusting, weed growths, means many things can be, deal with the need based modification. Based upon the need, we can go for the certain type of modification. So this climate smart approach is not only up to the crop selection or this, it is also for the water management, climate smart water management approaches. So here we are not only thinking of go for the in situ water harvesting. No, we will also think of micro irrigation systems like drip irrigation, sprinkler irrigation, depending upon the conditions. Then comfort irrigation, then water saving approaches, in situ water harvesting. Then we can also go for the deficit irrigation, alternate wetting and drying systems, as in case of DSRs. So conservation approaches like minimum tillage, like intercropping, like mulching, whether it is residue mulching or plastic mulching, we can go for these things as well. Then uh, on farm water harvesting or rainwater harvesting and storage thereafter distribution, we can adopt. Then nowadays wastewater recycling is also been talked about, right? So this waste water recycling is also a thing which we can look upon. Then if you talk about a certain type of crops and their impact, then if we talk about the benefits of DSR compared to transplanted rice. So here is a water saving or reduce the water usage by 12 to 35%. And then there were that also prevent the waterlogging or improving the soil structures. It also going to reduce the greenhouse gas emission, particularly methane emission, because of anaerobic decomposition, and thereby improving the soil health and soil structure. Then soil organic matter as well, then reducing the soil degradation, and in terms of ensuring the deep rooting pattern as well as nutrient absorption capacity, then ultimately your soil uh, fertility. So alongside this water management approach, we will also think of is climate smart soil management thing as well, which can be a global scale climate change mitigation approach. So here are the four major principle. This is adopted from the USDA. So maximize the continuous living biomass. It is actually a kind of regenerative agriculture, where we are talking about maintaining the live cover, so that our root activities or rhizospheric activities will be going on. So it can be achieved through the crop rotation, relay cropping, then fodder and forage cultivation, then planting of perennial trees, then cover crops as well, then minimum disturbance of soil through the process of zero tillage or reduced tillage or controlled tillage, need based tillage as well. Then maximize the soil cover by residue retention, forage biomass, perennial trees, cover crops, green manuring. And then we are going to talk about this diversification, rhizospheric microbial diversification as well. So here, if we are going to think of this diversification, so it is not only in the soil system above ground as well. So here we will have to think of ecological management aspect, where we will have to talk about this conservation of our beneficial insect or farmer friendly insects, or microbes, and then this rotational grazing as well, then crop rotation, integrated pest management, then conservation or you can say maintenance of pollinators, natural pollinators as well. Then recycling, or you can say use of organic manure is very much recommended. So these things, if we are collectively talking about this, then these are going to work upon the soil health improvement in a holistic way. So nowadays the integration of technology is also there for the soil and water conservation things, like precision agriculture is one part, then use of remote sensing and geographical information systems, then mapping through the application, or like soil health card is an example of that particular thing. Then use of artificial intelligence and machine learning driven models to predicting certain critical events, or you can say certain rainfall events, or by using those kind of information, the farmers can be more aware of those particular things. Then And the application, or you can say adoption of precision agriculture, is also a very important thing. Here we mainly talk about remote sensing and application of drone for the real-time crop monitoring, management, and input application. Then IoT's Internet of Things for the moisture sensors. We are as a researcher, we are all aware that nowadays handheld equipments are available with us, which can be utilized for the real-time monitoring of water stress or nutrient stress or nutrient availability in the soil system, as well as temperature, root temperature, rhizospheric temperature, as well as canopy temperature. So based on those things, we can go for the certain type of managements. So VRT is also one of the major thing, I mean, integral part of this precision agriculture, which is going to be helpful for the input management or application. Then this predictive analysis is gaining much more attention for weather-based event prediction, then crop productivity prediction. So many things are so this AI is being used in. Yeah, so this is one of the thing which is oriented towards the greenhouse gas mitigation or climate change mitigation. So when we talk about the mitigation approach, again we'll back to our basics like cropping system diversification, then to reduce the nitrification or inhibition of nitrification, then selection of crops is very important. Selection of varieties is very important, which are having capacity to reduce this greenhouse gas emission from the soil system. Then residue management is very important. Then irrigation methods are also going to affect overall greenhouse gas emission from the soil system. Then soil amendment through lime, through any kind of management which is going to maintain our soil pH or soil chemistry, soil biogeochemistry. It is very important that biochar is also gaining a lot more attention for the for the greenhouse gas mitigation. This is also a tool which is being used for the long-term carbon sequestration potential, as it is going to have the life cycle of years to 100 years, or more than 100 years as well. So this kind of persistent biochar can be used for the soil carbon sequestration and carbon footprint mitigation and greenhouse gas mitigation as well, because this is a porous biomass which is also having capacity to reduce this methane emission, as well as to check the nitrification, as well as the leaching of nutrient as well, right? So this is also getting a lot more attention as a tool to go for the greenhouse gas mitigation. Then fertilizer management, real-time fertilizer management is very essential. So yeah, then tillage practices is also one of the part which is very essential at the time of greenhouse gas mitigation. Then this term carbon farming is gaining a lot more attention nowadays, and this is also a kind of thing where government is also thinking about. So many policies are going to be made, and so many startups are working on this particular dimension, where this system carbon footprint is very essential. How you will assess, how you're going to mitigate this carbon footprint. So over in a layman language, if we will say that the one ton of carbon CO2 equivalent is equal to one credit. So nowadays every startup, so many startups are there which are talking about this greenhouse gas mitigation, as at the same time conservation of water, conservation of residue, then tillage, energy saving. So many things are there which can be included in case of carbon farming. So overall, the thing which, I mean, intervention which is going to conserve, or you can say reduce the carbon emission, that will come under this terminology like carbon farming system. So mainly this residue extension, cover cropping, tillage, or can say agroforestry, livestock integration, then greenhouse, this biogas generation, then your DSR. These are also included in case of carbon farming. Then how this is actually, as I told you, that here are certain things like starting from the cropping systems, like crop diversification, cropping pattern, residue retention, compost application, application, then this integration of agroforestry system, then recycling of nutrient, reduction of input application. Input means is this fertilizer application, water application reduction. And these are also the part of this carbon farming, or they are also going to contribute towards the reduction in CO2 emission. So if this is actually a intervention or agronomic intervention for the carbon credit generation. If you will think that, if you will see this particular table, then fertilizer, water management, residue retention, residue management, then cropping pattern and harvesting, cropping, planting and then harvesting, then pastoral management. These are some things which are being approved by Vera. In India, there are which have been evaluated by the Vera. Right. So if we talk about the water conservation kind of projects, so alternate wetting and drying, precision irrigation systems, DSR, these are the production systems which can be included in this system. Similarly, residue retention, ultimately to conserve to increase the soil carbon sequestration, and then nutrient fertilizer application reduction is also one of the part for the carbon credit generation. So, and along with that, harvesting systems or cropping patterns like monocropping, which can be shifted to the double cropping or intercropping. If somehow we are going to increase the soil organic carbon or biomass production, then it is we can go for this type of emerging area of carbon credit generation for the farmers. So what could be the quantitative approaches for the carbon credit evaluation or generation? So first we will have to think of what is the real-time carbon content in the soil system. We will have to think of there are three approaches actually. In the very first model, or can say approach, we will have to go for the measurement of soil carbon, then we will have to know what is the baseline content, then what is the goal of our project. So, or you can say the farming system model. So in another type of approach to we will go for the carbon measurement of carbon at the start, and periodically we will go for the estimation of soil carbon. Then we'll go for the modeling, like ROC is a model which is being used for the carbon modeling. Then there are some default values as are given by the IPCC for different emissions, and then by using those we can go for the calculation for this carbon credit. So next approach for the climate change based management is agroforestry. It is a very essential part of this particular approach of approach of climate change mitigation. So here we can livestock, we can integrate the livestock and cover crops with the perennial trees, which can work for the which can work in a long run, can sequester the carbon, and then also increase the overall soil carbon content, and increase the crop productivity, overall profitability of farm. Then they can manage the ecological diversity, balance the ecological diversity. They can also alter this microclimatic things. So by this integration of this agroforestry, we can also think of climate change mitigation. So apart from these things, being agronomist, I have discussed about the agronomic management practices. Apart from this, many more things are there, like climate resilient crop cultivars development. Nowadays, malnutrition or cancers in the past years, PM has released some 109 or 129 varieties which are modified, which are climate smart varieties. So varietal development, or can say genotype development, is very essential to deal with this. Then integrated pest management to maintain the ecological balance, to maintain the ecological diversity is also one of the part to look for. Then policy support and farmers education, or you can say capacity building, is also essential to deal with the climate change. because not a breeder alone or not an agronomist alone can deal with this thing until unless holistic approach will not be there, then this cannot be achieved. So in a holistic way, a sustainable production practice which can prioritize the soil health or long-term soil health, water soil health improvement, water conservation, in situ rainwater harvesting, it will be essential. Then capacity building, again it will be essential for dealing with this climate change. Then policy integration, like prioritize the soil health again, then prioritize the crop diversification, prioritize the varietal selection, then prioritize this incentivization with the carbon credit or through the payment for ecosystem services is very essential to deal with climate change. Then research and innovations, and another dimension there. Then climate resilient practices like cover crop, integration of different type of crop, need based modification of soil, in situ rainwater harvesting, land configuration changes. These are very essential strategies to deal with the real time climatic vagaries. Then community, or you can say we can go for the collective efforts, like on a community basis, on FPO basis, or with the cluster basis, we can go for the management approaches. So this was about how we can how agronomical practices can deal with the this climate change.